And, you know, I was just always the kind of guy, if I had a bad day at the gym, I would come home wrecked, you know, like unhappy. Like I wasn't able to ever just leave a bad day at the gym. You pick it up tomorrow, you'll be there in like 12 hours.
Welcome to Old Guy Talks to Me, a podcast dedicated to helping guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. Ladies, if you want to know what your guy is thinking, this podcast is for women too. Each week, a special guest helps you create that life you've imagined. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships and hot sex. Yeah, you hear me, getting laid more frequently, other guy vices, and topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review this podcast. And be sure to go to www.thestandard.academy/magazine and grab a free copy of our new digital magazine, The Standard Academy, where we talk about erogenous zones, growing hair back, and other things that will help you create that kick-ass life. Now get ready to listen up and share with friends.
This is Forrest, the official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And this is your host, Forrest, the official old guy, because I have a Medicare card. And so that makes me government certified old guy. And if you're listening to this, be sure to subscribe, share, and review. In the house this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, I have Forrest Griffin, the former UFC light heavyweight champion. Now he's in charge of athlete development at the UFC, and he's also an author. He's got some books, and we're going to talk about those a little bit later on. And so basically, Forrest and Forrest are very similar names.
Yes.
And that's about where the similarity ends, folks. That is about where the similarity ends. So, Forrest, I kind of want to go take back in the time machine, and you obviously
hey, Forrest, don't all old guys want the time machine?
Yeah. Well, we do have a hot tub.
Do I now qualify as old? 42? Am I?
You're on the border. We kind of say like 45, but we're not going to bar you from entry. We're not going to bar you.
So here's the deal. You know, I work at the Performance Institute, and I hang around professional athletes all the time. I'm really old by professional athlete standards. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I qualify as old in that in that denotation, right?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of guys and girls you hang around with did not know that Paul McCartney was in a band before Wings.
Yes, yeah. No, they have no idea. They know the Beatles, but Wings is like Wings. That's only us. The Wings wasn't that big of a hit.
All right. So I've got this generational thing, and actually this is not going to be my first question, but I do want to ask you: do you call people brother, or do you call people dude?
Brother, a lot, brother.
Brother, yeah, okay. So that's a generation.
I'm from the South, so I say sir and ma'am a lot too, but I say brother a lot.
Do you? Okay, yeah, because it's a generation.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, it's a generational thing.
It's also like a colloquialism in the South, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I go with dude because that was kind of like the term when I was younger. People would say dude. And I was like, dude, stop that stupid shit, or dude, what are you thinking? So that was it. So Forrest, what's your first recollection of a fight as a kid?
Well, my first recollection was, I got in a fight with a kid a grade up from me, and I somehow fell on top and won. And I remember getting in trouble in the principal's office. And she was like looking at me and looking at him and just kind of like, almost like, Forrest, how did you get in a fight even? And I was like, I have no idea. And it was great. And that's when I fell in love with it. No, it was turned out I was horrible at fighting. If you said we have to wait till X time to fight, and I would just fall apart. But that dude just hit me, and I just like grabbed him, and like, you know, in the scramble fell on top of him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was decent at fighting if I could just jump right into it. You know, I don't know. I was just kind of always big and goofy, so you know, I don't know. As Stephen Bonner says, I must have had punch appeal. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but, you know, you're in the group with friends and you're the big guy, and so you're the one that they kind of expect to fight. And I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
Well, I also want to, you know, kind of go back in you were talking about this, the kid who basically had a pocket protector, and you refer to him as the devil with the pocket protector.
Yeah. It's the best story of all time. Yeah, that kid, just some kid minding his own business, showed you know, a couple, 3 bullies what was up. That was you know, driving around the Jeeps, all that kid, started making fun of him, and you know, he just didn't take it. He was like, you know, screw you guys all, whatever. And you know, he just was bound to have the last word, and he did.
Yeah. So was that?
I don't know where that guy is, and I'm sure he doesn't know who I am, but I'm sure he's successful.
I am sure he knows who you are, and I do suspect he's successful too.
I feel like he wasn't into sports at all.
Yeah. Well, I think anybody and most people will know who you are. So, how did you happen to get into this MMA and fighting and all this stuff?
I literally saw it on TV and I thought I could do that. And then I ran into some guys, Adam and Roy Singer, at the hardcore gym in Athens, Georgia. I think I was 19, maybe 20. And I was just looking for a sport to do, you know, and saw 2 guys fighting in a room, or, you know, 3 or 4 guys actually. And I thought, that looks fun. I want to try that out. And then the first time I went, both the brothers who beat me up. And at this time, I was a pretty athletic dude. This is my peak of athleticism. It was actually before I ever started fighting. And I got whooped on. I had the big show pony muscles, but they weren't getting the job done.
So you got it. You got the MMA, and then you transitioned. You had a career as a policeman for a while.
Yeah. I was 2 years a cop, and then I quit to become a professional fighter. 2 years later, I was pretty much homeless, no nothing, working at a bar, still hadn't finished college, you know, bouncing. And I thought, man, I got to get back in law enforcement. Got back into law enforcement, kind of gave up on my dream of fighting. Got the call to do the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, that was a big risk you took when you decided to go ahead and do that, because you had a career going in law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge risk now, but at the time, I'd honestly never really seen a reality show. I didn't know what I was in for. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know that much about the UFC outside of watching it, you know? So I didn't really know what I was doing.
Well, I'm sure that being on season 1, nobody knew what they were doing. I'm sure there was a lot of shit that went down.
I always talk about how they filled the fridge when we moved in was full of like Pop-Tarts and Diet Coke. And I was just like, man, that was the first thing. I was like, this isn't going to work, guys. You got to give us some decent food. We're working out all day.
Pop-Tarts and Diet Coke.
Yeah, it was like what they'd stock like the fridge for like any reality show with. It was like, what the?
Oh gosh. So what was it like living with all those dudes in the house at the beginning?
You know, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't great because you had no TV, no books, nothing to take your time away from it. And then you knew that some of them you would eventually end up fighting, and you were on different teams and whatnot. But it wasn't bad because before that, I'd been living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 dudes. So, no, a 3-bedroom apartment, 4 dudes, but I did not get the bedroom. I slept in the dining room. So it was, you know, it wasn't that much change.
Uh-huh. So you're in the house and stuff, and you know, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, that there were some guys that wanted to leave the show because there were some issues going on with money and all that stuff, and everybody was trying to just scrape by.
You know, I think that was true because I don't think we got paid till after the show, and I think people were, you know, like, you know, we just didn't have much money at the time. I think you were getting like, I don't know what they pay every, you know, every reality contestant gets like their $800 a week or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and so there were some times I know that there was some things were kind of very dicey there, especially in season 1 with sponsors, with no significant sponsorships and things like that.
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing is that the UFC actually bought the airtime for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a major. I'm sure it was a major investment for them at this point.
$1 million.
Was that what it was? $1 million? I'm sure that was just pretty much everything they had in the bank. It was
the last bit of money they were willing to part with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
oh, well, it's amazing. So many stories, so many success stories are built like that, and they're built out of the actually the desperation at the very end when when there's nothing else left to do, and you just got to make it happen somehow. So when you got into the house and you got the very famous fight at the very end, what was that like that night when you were going in? Because everybody was talking about how some of the fights weren't very entertaining, and Dana obviously wants entertaining fights, and so you guys put on quite the show that night.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just for us. It was kind of the sport was kind of it was a good show, but it wasn't great. I guess it was just the fulcrum to decide whether or not it was going to make it up or not.
Yeah. So, well, apparently it went through. When you're fighting people, and I'm sure all the fighters have different approaches. What kind of feeling do you have against your opponents, or do you have any particular feeling?
And, I was just watching I don't know if you saw 249, but I got to see the Francis Ngannou fight, and I've been fortunate enough to be around him quite a bit. And I almost think about it as you got to look at it like sociopathically, right? So like scarcity of resources, there's X amount of money. I need that money more than he needs that money. I don't know him. I don't know his situation. I don't care. I don't want to know him. If I knew the guy, I might feel bad for him, but I just know that I need that more than he needs that, right? So it's just, scarcity of resources, The alligator needs the little spring buck more than the hyenas do, right?
Right.
It's just like that,
So just get that it's more about your mentality than it is really about them, that you want the resources. So what's it when you became the world champion? What was that like? What was going in through your mind when you won that fight and became the world champion?
It was good, for me, I don't know. It was a weird one for me. I just was ready to, just try to get myself in a place where I was ready to defend it. And, I always say it takes a certain type of person and a certain mentality to kind of, wear the crown, right? So heavy is the head that wears the crown, and you gotta feel like you belong in the throne, etc. I always just felt like, I never really felt like that. I just felt like I was, any given night, put me in there. Maybe I win, maybe I lose, but it's gonna be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had less of the I'm the greatest dominant guy at this time,
Mm-hmm.
Probably the wrong mentality, really.
I don't know. There's not many people that are world champions at something, so I think whatever it was, it worked for you.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So when I see the fights and the pre-fight things like that, there's a lot of trash talking. And how much of that is actually real
most
hate?
Of it. Yeah,
most of it.
Yeah. Fighting's a weird thing, because people get almost like, they bond with each other in the fights, but before and after, you really, that you can grow to just like a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody's irritable too. You're making weight, you're not eating, you got all people asking you questions, and oh well, he said he's gonna knock you out and take your what? Heck with that guy, you know.
Mm-hmm. So out in your experience, because you're really up close to the fighters, what would you say would be maybe the top one or two or rivalries or trash talking hatreds or what in UFC?
Man, you know, I mean, I don't know, so I'll just go back. You know, Henry Cejudo is a wild man. Even if he's respectful, he talks a lot of trash. Dominic Cruz and him had a good little trash talk going. I wish that fight would have gone longer. It was a very good fight, but and that's one I wouldn't mind seeing again too. It was Dominic's first fight back in 3.5 years. I feel like he could have. I feel like he was finding his rhythm. He could have gotten better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one that, well, because it's such a high profile, was Khabib and McGregor. I mean, that is
yeah, you know, but at the same time, you know, Khabib and Justin Gaethje's fight, I'm really excited to see. Those guys have the same manager.
Oh my God. Yeah,
right. So they're not, you know, they're not really talking trash at all. You know, I don't know how much you know about Justin Gaethje, but he's like a daggum school teacher. He reminds me sometimes of like my mother, if she was a professional fighter, you know. She's like he said, you know, it was like being an asshole gets you nowhere. It was like, that's like something my mom would say. What the heck, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about the trash talk. I like, you know, it has its place, right? And sometimes it's authentic.
Yeah. Well, it sells tickets. I mean, that's one of the things, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, so does reality television. And I got no love for that nonsense either. So.
Okay.
Are you a man suffering with erectile dysfunction, or know of a man suffering with erectile dysfunction? Well, the answer that you are looking for is at myjunkdoesnotwork.com. You heard that right, myjunkdoesnotwork.com. What you'll find there are interviews on cutting-edge medical therapies to treat erectile dysfunction with experts in the field. That's right, experts. One of them is actually even a therapy that you can do in the privacy and comfort of your own home at a fraction of the cost of what it costs in a medical office. So what are you waiting for? You want to regain your confidence as a man? You want to regain your ability to pleasure your partner and yourself, both physically and emotionally? Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. Do it now. Go to myjunkdoesnotwork.com. You'll be glad you did.
What you made a comment in one of your interviews that talked about difference between training dutifully and training with passion for a fight. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, something I fell into was, you know, to me it was a job, and you forget that you're getting to play a sport or do something you love for a job sometimes. You can forget how much fun it should be at a certain point. And for me, there was you know, I started making money. It was a thing. And I never let myself down on the amount of work I did, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And that was just mental pressure, right? So you have to find ways to just make it enjoyable, to you know, have a mindset more on learning and less on winning. And you know, I was just always the kind of guy, if I had a bad day at the gym, I would come home wrecked, you know, like unhappy. Like I wasn't able to ever just leave a bad day at the gym. You pick it up tomorrow, you'll be there in like 12 hours. You can worry about it then, but I never could. I would be upset with myself and frustrated, and, you know, started that downward spiral of catastrophizing, whatever, you know. It's like, I suck, because you're gonna quit. You should go pave houses or something, you know.
So,
yeah. You know, and that's, you know, sometimes you just have a bad day.
Well, yeah, that's true in life.
And that's part of a coach's job, to make sure that you're going with the right people, that you get the right number of wins and losses, right? So anytime you're in a room of people or a group of people, the people at the best in the room, they'll improve a little bit. The people at the bottom, they'll improve a little bit. But the people in the middle, they're going to improve the most because they're going to get wins and losses. And you need to win and you need to lose to improve at a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or not, you'll get more improvement sometimes out of losing a specific match or whatnot than if you just win all the time.
Yeah.
Or if you just lose all the time and you feel like you're just smashing your head and you're going to end up like the horse, the glue factory.
Is your life not working out? Have you tried programs and they did not work? Do you want to create a vibrant life for yourself and those that you love? Well, if you do, then get on a short call with me to find out if we're a mix. You can go to www.thestandard.academy, get to know you, and schedule a short call with me. If we're a match, great. If not, that's fine too. Either way, I'm going to have a free gift for you. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Do it now.
After you quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What part of fighting in the UFC is mental versus physical?
Yeah, that's funny. So it's not, people say it's 90% mental, or it's all mental except for the physical part. It's actually a lot physical, a lot biological, chemical, whatever. The only thing is, if your mind's not right, none of that works, right? So all the other preparation you did, if you're not in the right headspace and you don't have your mind on the right track with your body, then nothing else works. So it's not that it's a percentage of this or that. I don't believe that nonsense at all. It's 90% mental. It's not 90% mental. You have to do the work. But without that mental part, nothing else matters. So it can be 100% mental. Even if you do all the work and you're not there mentally, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's interesting you'd say that, because I remember when Ronda Rousey got prepared for her fight, and her mother actually left because she wasn't happy with her preparation, her mental preparation. She left the training, and it seemed like Ronda was not there. She was an incredible fighter, had an incredible run, and then it just seemed like she wasn't there mentally.
Right. That's important. If you lose that, nothing else falls into place. Nothing else works. Yeah. But you can be 100% confident and get your butt whooped because you didn't do all the other stuff too. So it's really, yeah.
So, Forrest, this is one of the things that I really find actually very, very interesting, and I don't really understand it because I've never really been in a physical altercation, except for maybe something in grade school, and so it's just not it has not been part of my psyche. And what I really trying to get an idea of, you are laying on the ground and someone is beating on you pretty hard.
Yeah.
What is going on in your brain? What is going on in your body as you're
so that's the thing. You're not really worried about anything. I hear guys say, I looked at my wife, I thought about my kids. I'm like, shit, okay, that's good for you. But for me, I always thought, I was like, all right, what hand is he hitting me with? I got to control that hand. How can I get that hand to stop? How can I posture up from here? Can I get my feet on his hips and push him away? Like, I'm just thinking through options. Like, what are some things that I know to do technically that will make this stop? Mm-hmm. Should I put my guard on my, you're just working through options, right? So like they say in the military, work the problem. You're working the problem. Like, this is what the problem is. That guy's right hand's hitting me a lot. What's the answer? What's the solution? I'm gonna shield up here.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of it sounds, for someone who's not in that business, it just seems like you'd be so distracted by the pain of getting hit that you wouldn't be thinking about it.
Nothing hurts in fights. So
really?
If you go into a fight, it hurts. But that acute pain, your body doesn't even allow you to feel it. You feel it after.
Oh, okay. So basically, you have an adrenaline rush and all sorts of other things that are really protecting you during that time.
Yeah, for sure. So you don't really feel that acute pain from the fight. Now, I've had this happen, and I've seen if you go into a fight with a previous injury, the fight adrenaline will only cover that so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So what do fighters say to each other when they're fighting?
Man, it's all kinds of things, you know. Khabib's another one. He talks a lot because he has guys in a down position of control. I think Charles Rosa was just talking to the guy that was beating him up, saying, "Just get off me, Mom. You just hugging me? You just hug me? What, you gonna fight me or what?" You know, you can say whatever. Yeah, I guess it's not really against the rules.
No, well, but it's part of the game. I imagine it's part of the psychological game. If you've been hitting someone pretty hard, they're not going down.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of wear and tear on your body over the years.
I have.
How did you deal with it when you were training?
You know, to be honest, it wasn't that bad. When I was actually training, well, I mean, I had 8 orthopedic surgeries. That didn't help.
That's a few.
Yeah. You know, rice it. You know, I would ice things. I did hot yoga for years. I did hot Pilates for years. You know, I was for periods of time, I'd be pretty dedicated to my physical therapy routines. I was always a big warm-up, cool-down guy, still am, but, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not the guy to ask because, you know, I understand it philosophically and I understand the techniques you should do to recover, but they haven't worked great for me. I'm like the plumber who doesn't fix his pipes at home or something, you know?
We all do that. We are all actually, sometimes we're better with other people than we are with ourselves in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You have also had some infections. You have MRSA infection, and that can knock you down pretty bad.
Yeah. So I didn't know. So I'd had staph several times, but I didn't realize that MRSA was a different thing and that was so serious. And I couldn't understand. I didn't identify it. And I got treated in Georgia, and then I flew out to Vegas, and it got substantially worse. So that was another thing, too. I didn't have, like, one doctor. I went to, like, quick care out there, quick care out here. I had my knee drained. I wish I still had that video. It's so intense. You get actually put your fingers together and touch, like, inside the skin of my knee. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. And, you know, that was the knee that ended up tearing out later, too. So I don't know that that was a coincidence, you know?
Yeah, well, MRSA's pretty nasty. I mean, I had it, and I still actually I have to take antibiotics, a small dose every day to keep it down, or else it'll flare up on me.
Let me tell you what got me worse than anything, and it's one of my favorite stories. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, was taking care of me. I was so bad I couldn't even stay at home, so I was staying at her place, and when she would go to work, I wouldn't have the strength to get up and change the TV. So I ended up watching like Deadliest Catch for like 3 hours straight one time. But it was the antibiotics, man. I was on antibiotics for 5 weeks straight. You know, you get the PICC line, the IV antibiotics, and then you get the shots in the butt, and then you're taking pills. And I had no idea how much those can wreck you. And I was just, wrecked from the antibiotics. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of genius. Before I fought Rashad, I was real sick, and I thought I'll double up on the antibiotics. That's how smart I was at the time. You cannot double up on antibiotics. It actually makes you feel worse.
Yes, yeah. It does. Yes, it does.
That was a genius move on my part.
Well, we've all done something like that. And
he said, "Take 2 a day. I'll take 4.
It's got to be good.
I'll get better quicker."
Well, I hate to tell you, I actually had somebody once told me they had a headache, and they taped an aspirin to their forehead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably
works too. You know? Hey, so this is very true, and I got this off of a recent CBD study, and this is the absolute truth. You can look it up. It's it's very much researchable and findable. Placebo treatment is 60% effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I give you a sugar pill, 60% chance it will mitigate or alleviate in some form your condition.
Yeah, and who cares if it works for you? I'll take it.
Tell me to tape aspirin to my shoulder. I wish you could convince me it would work, but I won't believe you.
I don't think the placebo effect would take effect there. It'd be a stretch for the placebo effect. So when you, what was the factors in deciding to retire?
My shoulders were gone. And I was trying to change my game, kick more. I was actually trying to get more flexible in my legs. I was going to try a different style because I couldn't take shots like I had been able to. I didn't have any power to keep people away from me. Even if you don't have great chin, if you have good power, you can keep people honest. But I didn't have any power, and my chin was starting to go. So I was trying to move, right? Like I was going to make my game more movement-based, more scramble-based, high pace, high conditioning, lots of teeps, kicks. My legs have always been relatively coordinated for some reason. I attribute that to maybe years of playing basketball, having decent footwork. So I thought, sure, I could do that. And then I blew my knee out. And then, ACL, MCL, meniscus, gone. Ended up having the patella graft, which I don't recommend. I would go ahead and get the cadaver. And even if you have to get it done twice, it's worth it. Because now my patella hurts every day. So, it just, I was really thinking like, all right, this is what I'll do. And then when that went, and then I tore my MCL, medial collateral ligament, in my knee, same knee, off the bone again 8 months after I'd recovered, just when I thought, and I'd already decided to retire. It was just like an inkling of a thought, like maybe you could do a couple more. And then that was the end of that.
Yeah, that was, so how'd you happen to re-injure it again?
I was playing soccer with 5-year-olds.
Okay.
Yeah. At the park, about a quarter mile from my house, with my 5-year-old daughter at the time. Or no, she was 3. We were playing with 5-year-olds though. And then she was tired and she wanted me to carry her back, and I couldn't even carry her back because my knee was so jacked up. Oh my goodness.
That's tough to re-injure something after you've.
Yeah. And I'd actually been training pretty hard because me and Stefan had got accepted to be on The Amazing Race.
Okay.
Yeah, we never were though. Obviously, I blew my knee out.
Okay, so let's talk about your books, Got Fight and Be Ready When the Shit Goes Down, a survival guide to the. So what's the now? One of the books is what are the principles to help you from becoming a douchebag? What are some of those principles?
Well, I'm sure the first one's don't wear cologne, don't drive a car you can't afford. Don't buy clothes based off the name. It was years since I wrote these books, but these all seem like good principles.
They're not bad. Yeah.
Don't call people boss. Don't. Yeah, don't. I'm becoming guilty of it too. Don't be a different person on social media than you are in the real world. But I'm just trying to be the person in the real world that I am on social media.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want to be more like the me that I appear to be than actual me.
Okay, that's your aspiration.
That's my best self I'm projecting out there. I just want to be my best self.
So do you take Instagram photos of yourself and put them through lots of filters?
I've been trying to. Well, I don't mess with the filters because fortunately society hasn't decided that goofy middle-aged men should have to be handsome. So I don't mess with the filters, thank goodness. But I just try to I try to post something every day.
Okay.
But I don't, because, I would just rather not post than post something completely uninteresting. I have a lot of pets, but how many pictures of my pets do you want to see? Unless they're truly amazing, I'm good.
Okay. So how many pets, what kind of pets do you have?
We have 2 cats, a dog. Yeah. We feed our hummingbirds. We have some lizards.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
They're very, you don't get big yards in Vegas. It's crazy. It's a desert. You figure it's like, who would you get all the desert you want? But no, the yards here are tiny. It's so funny.
Yeah. Well, we just, actually, I got to tell you, we just moved up to Vegas about 2 years ago. We're here. Just love it.
Yeah, you love it, huh?
Yeah, we moved from Phoenix.
You must be coming from someplace really shitty.
Phoenix. It's actually, it's not bad. No, I
it's one place hotter than here, though. It's crazy.
Exactly, and we live up.
Oh my God! The worst thing about Vegas is the heat, and you're coming from the one place that's worse.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. The summers, but we live up in Summerlin, so it's even cooler up here than it is.
Yeah, it's not that much cooler. Yeah, I live off Charleston, so yeah. Me too.
Okay. All right. So now you're the VP of athlete development at the UFC. What does that mean?
For the Performance Institute.
For the Performance Institute.
So,
okay.
I get to do a ton of things. If you think about everything that interacts with the fighter, from making weight to injuries to how to correctly use the medical insurance, I get to kind of play a role in that behind the scenes. And then a lot of what I do is just making sure that the Performance Institute works best for the UFC athlete.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So and so you're basically interacting with a lot of the players on a personal basis and helping them get through stuff and
I give them a tour of the PI and I introduce them. They tell me the problem. I introduce them to the guy or gal they need.
Okay. So a while back, the women weren't fighting in the UFC, and I know that Dana was initially resistant to it. What do you think about that?
I'm sure he regrets that now, but at the time, right? A while back, it's been a while though. So
yeah, but what do you think about? I mean, I think it's been a great thing. It's been a.
But you already mentioned Ronda Rousey, right?
Right.
So she changed the landscape. I have a gym personally that I'm involved with, and I can tell you, going on the mats, all of a sudden I had 15, 20 little girls, and that's the Ronda Rousey effect,
Mm-hmm.
Pretty little girls that you didn't think were really like, where were you? Are you looking for the gymnastics gym across the street? No, I'm going to be a jiu-jitsu fighter. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So, I think it's been a great thing, and it's been a lot of women have been, I think, actually very, very good role models for young girls in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And then you look at like Amanda Nunes. She's one of the best in the world,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty amazing. Forrest, what do you think is different in fighting now in the UFC than it was 10 years ago?
I don't even know where to start on that one. There's just more people vying for it as a professional option, right? So the old boxing adage, talent goes where the money is. It's money and notoriety, actually. And now that the UFC is on TV and people are watching the fights, then you think, I could do that. I want to try doing that as well. So you're getting a better class of athlete, and they're training younger. I didn't start training until I was 19, and we didn't really train like professionals until we were 21. And so now you're getting people that are coming out from college wrestling and something, and they're truly athletes, and they've always done a martial arts, and they haven't really had to work that part-time job to support themselves, So you get professional fighters.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them do seem to come out of the wrestling, especially, which is pretty interesting phenomenon. So, Forrest, what would people find very surprising about you that they wouldn't know about you outside your public persona?
I don't know that there's that much. Pretty basic. There's very little exciting about me. In fact, my appeal has always been that I'm pretty much the everyman. I used to say I kind of look like the kid that used to mow your yard down the street, or now I'm just like, I'm that middle-aged dude on the corner of the block. Like, I think that guy used to be some sort of athlete. Really? Yeah, maybe.
I
go out of my way to be boring, okay?
You look like the guy who used to beat me up in grade school.
No,
That's okay.
That guy's aged well, I'll say.
Yeah. So, Forrest, I want to thank you for coming on oldguytalkstome.com podcast. It's been great and finding out a little bit more about you and finding out more about what goes on inside the UFC. So I appreciate you taking the time I appreciate that.
Thank
so
you
this is
for
Orest, the old
joining
guy from
Dr. Orest and his
www.oldguytalks.com.
Like what you heard and learned?
Remember, it's all
Then
about
be
creating
sure
a
to
kick-ass
do
life for
3
yourself
things.
and those that
1.
you love.
Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2. Share this with someone who may need to hear it. 3.
Thank you
Leave
much,
a
man.
review.
Hey,
and
I
rate
appreciate
this
you coming on
podcast.
board and
Opt in at
enjoy the lockdown. Hopefully we'll be getting back next to real life again.
/magazine
We'll see.
and get our free
All right.
digital
Thanks a lot.
magazine with
Take care of
savings,
yourself. Thank you.
articles,
Bye-bye.
and deeper dives into cool controversy. Be the guy who takes action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want. Thank you again, and make it a great day.